Searing steaks can be one of the most challenging things to do when cooking. Am I using the right oil? Is my pan hot enough? This steak is really thick. How long is it going to take? Well, I'm going to show you some foolproof ways to get you to a delicious, perfect steak au poivre. You will love this technique and recipe. One of my first experiences with steak au poivre was at the restaurant I worked at right out of culinary school called Malmaison, which is just a bit outside of St. Louis. Malmaison translates from French to English as the bad house. A French couple, Simone and Jobert, were the owners, and I learned so much about French cuisine, and I can't tell you how many steak au poivres I ate. So delicious, so easy to make. Before we get to cooking this steak though, we're gonna knock out a little prep. Sound good? Let's cook. We are going to begin with prepping up a small shallot. So start by slicing off the ends and then slice it in half and then peel off that outer layer. If you can't tell, this is almost the exact same preparation as an onion, but shallots are in fact a breed of an onion and it's its own class. So what we're going to do is small dice up this shallot. We don't want huge bites in here on our steak. We just want it to complement. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and run some garlic cloves through a garlic press. And in case you're asking, because I get it every day, this is a Roselle garlic press, R-O-S-L-E. I'll include the link for you. Set that to the side, and then the next thing I have are some peppercorns. I have black, pink, white, and green. What we want to do is sort of break these peppercorns down, and what we do is rock a pan sort of back and forth all over the peppercorns on a cutting board. This helps to sort of mash them up, but not finely grind them, which is exactly what I want. I want some big chunks in there. Pepper goes so good with steak, and after we add a lot more ingredients to the sauce, it will chill out the heat of the pepper, so don't worry about that. Once they are completely cracked, just go ahead and set them to the side in a small bowl. Let me stop really quick and say, if you only have black peppercorns or maybe just pink or green or just white, totally fine. Use what you have. Now, if you don't want to use my pan trick to break it up, perhaps you have a spice grinder. You can just pulse a few times. That'll do it as well. Okay, here's what we're going to do next. Let's go ahead and pull out that steak from the refrigerator. This looks fantastic. This is a 12-ounce New York strip steak. There are many grades, from prime to choice to dry-aged, grass-fed, Wagyu, Kobe, you name it. That option will be completely up to you, and all of it is dependent upon the price tag. Now, you don't have to use a New York strip steak. For me, it's that perfect combination of lean and marbling. It's a great cut of meat. However, you could use filet mignon, ribeye, skirt, flank, even a sirloin, totally up to you. Now, there are a few different ways you can season up this steak, and don't worry, I'll show you both. The really classical way of making steak au poivre, which just means steak with pepper, is by coating it completely in the ground up peppercorns that we did on the cutting board a few minutes ago. The other way is to save those peppercorns for the sauce, which I'll show you that way as well. So now, let's start off by seasoning. We're going to season the steaks, and like I always say, be about a foot away from what you're seasoning so you can cover all the surface area. This is a big, thick steak, so it does need a lot of salt and pepper so that all those flavors can get through to the middle of the steak, so every single bite is well seasoned and absolutely delicious. And now for that other steak that's more classically encrusted with the peppercorns, grab those peppercorns and sprinkle them all over a salted New York strip steak. And then what you want to do is completely coat and encrust it by pressing those peppercorns into the steak on all sides. So after you've seasoned with salt and fresh cracked black pepper, we are going right over to the cooktop. I've got a large saute pan. We're going to turn the heat to high, and then I'm going to add in some safflower oil and get it hot. While the oil is heating up, let me stop really quick and say this. When it comes to using oils, I absolutely love using olive oil. I love the flavor. I'm very comfortable using it, and it has a really low smoke point at around 375 to 400. Now, the other oil that I use outside of olive oil is a safflower oil. It has a super high smoking point around 500 degrees. But let me say that you can use what you have and what you feel is healthiest for you and your family. Perhaps you only have an avocado oil or coconut oil. Whatever the case is, absolutely use it, because here is the most defining thing when it comes to pan searing steak, right here. You can see the smoke starting to roll off the pan, lightly smoked. This is exactly where you want it. So let's add our steak right to the center of the pan. Now, what I like to do at this point is immediately turn the heat from high down to medium high. We don't want to burn the steak, we want to cook it. And for a little bit of flavoring, I'm adding in some garlic cloves, some fresh thyme. You could use rosemary as well. And to help brown it and add a little bit more flavor and fat, I've got some unsalted butter, and unsalted because I want to control the salt content. And normally what I would do is sort of baste the steak, but I've learned this new technique that I really like to ensure that it's brown on every little square centimeter. And what I like to do is move it around the pan after it cooking by itself for 45 seconds. So after 45 seconds, start to move it around like this all over the pan. This covers all the surface area and you'll get the absolute most beautiful golden brown. And then to add some flavor, maybe halfway through moving that steak around, add some of that cooked garlic and thyme right to the top. It's just going to further enhance the flavor of your steak. Now, just because I want to prove it to you, let's have a look, scrape everything off, see how everything is brown. There's no gray spots or weird uncooked areas on the steak. It's perfectly golden brown. I'm going to go ahead and add that cooked garlic and thyme back on top and begin to move it around on the other side. And then because I want to cook it on all sides, let's go ahead and give it a flip. And of course, in the exact same process with the peppercorn encrusted steak, you move it all around the pan to make sure it's perfectly golden brown. Look at that. It looks absolutely amazing. Cook it on the other side to finish it up. And for a steak about this size at 12 ounces, you're looking at about 2 to 3 minutes per side for a perfect rare to medium rare internal temperature, which is exactly like I like it. So add it to a plate and we want to let it rest for 2 to 4 minutes. Now, if you're afraid that it's going to overcook, a little trick would be to set it on its side so the heat isn't compressed to that one side of the steak and the plate. We're going to rest it while we make our sauce. I remember in culinary school during the basic section, which is really that prelim class when you start taking culinary school, we'd be cooking off lots of chicken, lots of steak, and we'd always ask, "Hey chef, how long do I cook this for?" And Chef Humphrey, that was his name, he would always say, "Cook it until it's done." I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that is so condescending. How do I know when this thing is done? But it's true. Everyone has that perfect desired internal temperature that they love. Maybe it's rare, medium, medium well, or well done, or anywhere in between. But it's true, and this is why. Because everyone cooks a little bit different. Everyone's burner may be bigger or smaller, cooks hotter or a little bit cooler. So it's never a possible way to say, hey, over medium well for 2 minutes on each side for an 8-ounce steak, you'll get medium rare. It may or may not get there. I don't know because everyone, again, cooks different. Everyone's cooktop is different. But here's a really easy trick. If you're into cooking steak a lot and you want to perfect it, this is something you learn in the very basics. If you hold out your hand like this, right or left, doesn't matter, and you push right here, okay? Just push right here on the bottom part of your thumb. This is what a rare steak should feel like. This is what a medium rare steak feels like. Now your middle finger to your thumb, this is a medium well, well done. It tightens up and it gets really firm as you kind of go down the line. Now it's not a perfect science, but it's a great start when cooking steaks. At the beginning, the best idea that I can give you is use a thermometer to temp it. Right in the center, just stick it right in the center of that meat. And if you're about the 120 mark, you're nice and rare. If you're about 125 to 128, you're medium rare. If you're about 135-ish, you're medium. If you're about 145, you're medium well. If you're anything over 155, 160, you are well done, and that steak is going to be really tough. But hey, if that's what you like, that's what you like. Okay, that was a really quick lesson into getting the perfect desired internal temperature. Hope that helps. Here's what we're going to do now. Head back over to your cooktop. We're going to sort of drain off the cooked fat and oil and garlic and herbs just to the side in a little bowl. Add the pan back to the burner just on low to medium heat. Hit it with a little bit of unsalted butter. Go grab those shallots that we finely minced up. We're going to add them right to the pan. Followed up with putting in the finely minced garlic cloves. And then, of course, if you're not doing this the traditional way, we're going to add in our peppercorns in case you did not use them to encrust the steaks. What we want to do now is get them a little bit browned, maybe cook them for about 2 minutes, almost just like a saute. Once it gets to this perfect consistency, what we want to do is add a little bit of cognac. So remove the pan from the burner, add in your cognac, then just give it a little swish around the pan, move it all around, and I can't stress this enough, very, very gently add it to the burner, and we're going to cook it until the liquid is just about gone or au sec. Now, if you want to flambe this thing, all you do is sort of tilt the pan back a little bit so that the flame can catch onto the alcohol. It will shoot up flames about 2 to 2.5 feet. Just be careful, okay? You want to set off any smoke alarms. You don't want to obviously burn your house down or any kitchen cabinets. I do it this way for safety. And this is any alcohol that you want to use. If it's vodka or gin, whatever you decide to cook with, it's just the process of removing it, pouring it, and gently setting it down on a lower flame. Make sure the flame is a little bit lower, or else it's for sure going to catch the second you put it down. Here's what we're going to do now. The cognac is just about absorbed into everything. Just going to give it a quick little stir. And then this is the magic, my friends. We're going to hit it with some heavy whipping cream. Lots of fat, lots of flavor here. We're going to continue to cook it on low to medium heat. It's going to take about 4 to 5 minutes or so. What we want to do is get it really thick. Think like a Alfredo sauce or a rich, creamy, thick sauce. To know the perfect consistency, what you do is coat the back of a spoon, run your finger through the center. You see how the top part doesn't go through that little mark where I rubbed it through to the bottom? This is called nappe. That means our cream sauce is perfect and ready to go. We're just going to season the sauce with a little bit of sea salt. Got some fresh chopped parsley, a little greenery in there. Give it a little mix until it is completely combined, and then go ahead and set the sauce off to the side so it doesn't continue to cook. And now for the steak. I'm going to put on a glove on one hand. If you want to hold the other side with tongs or even a fork, totally fine. What I want to do is slice up this steak. It's just going to have a nice presentation. And I like to slice down and on a bias, which sort of makes the steak a little thicker, gives it a little bit more surface area. I don't know, it just looks prettier to me, and that's the way we used to do it at that restaurant. And just to show you, we're at that nice rare to medium rare. That is exactly how I love my steak, my friends, and I hope you do too. To all my chefs in training out there, my comey chefs, that is you. This is how you put fundamental techniques into practice to get that perfect internal temperature that you love every single time. You make sure your oil is lightly smoking. You make sure when you put the steak in, you turn the heat down to medium high so you don't burn it. Adding flavors like garlic and thyme. All of these things, you put it into your everyday cooking. Everything you sear, whether it's pork chops, fish, or chicken, oh my gosh, is it gonna be so dang good. And of course, when you're making homemade food from scratch, it will always taste better. That is my promise to you. Plus, you know the ingredients that are in it, which is really great. Now, we're gonna plate up in slow-mo. So in a very large plate, I'm going to add the sauce down to the bottom. Now, you don't have to do this. You could drizzle it over the top, but I want to showcase off that beautiful steak. So go ahead and add the steak right to the top. Add your slices or the whole thing slices. Is totally up to you. And this looks perfect. We're going to garnish with some parsley, and man, oh man, check out this beauty. I'm telling you right now, whether you make this for your family or friends or significant other for a holiday, maybe it's Valentine's Day, you will be a hero. That is my promise to you, because this is so dang good. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, like and share this video, and check out this video right here. I made it just for you, and you will love it. We'll see you on there.